all. So, leveraging the right AI tools can be a game changer for solopreneurs, small businesses, nonprofits, and entrepreneurs. So, the question is, are you using the right tools? Today, our guest is Deane, the networking diva, and she's going to talk to us about AI that actually helps you in your business. We are Nate and Simone, and we talk all things marketing. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to this channel so that more people like you can see these videos. So, with all that being said, let's get started. Welcome, Christine. Hi, Nate.
Hello, hello. Yeah,
Hello.
so welcome, Christine. There's a lot of small businesses out there, small organizations, let's say, because it doesn't have to be a business necessarily, and it probably isn't necessarily just businesses, but they're feeling a lot of pressure these days to adopt AI and do so quickly, I think. And A lot of them, unfortunately, get overwhelmed, and it's very easy to become overwhelmed by all the options available out there. And Hopefully, we're going to help to decipher some of that for our viewers today. We like to tie our conversations into the V3 growth system, and that involves three V's. One is the visibility, like in this case, using AI can amplify your business reach when your messaging is clear. So caveat there. Um, it also increases your viability because you know if you use correctly as a tool, right, it can help reduce friction in the business and hopefully not add complexity. But of course, the opposite is also true. Um, and then finally, building a valuable business. We talk a lot about that. So having systems inside the business help to increase long-term value of the business. Who wouldn't want a business that is already up and running, using AI effectively, maximizing efficiency, etc. So, all right, let's get into our first little bit here about why AI feels overwhelming for these small organizations. So why do so many organizations struggle to know where to start with AI? Christine, what do you think?
It is overwhelming. There's too many shiny objects. That is absolutely what it is. And I've got a friend that literally is like, "Have you seen this yet?" And they send me the link. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, have you heard of this one?" I'm like, okay, you realize how many are out there, right? There is just, you could drop so much money on all these different programs and just be so split, not sure where to go, which one do you use? It absolutely is overwhelming. Finding what works for you, your business model and your business is huge, right? Whether it's a nonprofit, and I have clients that are both nonprofit, solopreneurs, small businesses, right? And how your approach, right? It's all about the strategy walking in the door, because you can just have a bunch of shiny objects and spend a ton of money and never really use any of them. I mean, stop for a moment and think about how many tools you have and which ones haven't you used lately that you continue to pay for. That alone should tell you something, right? And then we add
Yeah,
in the AI tools on top of that.
yeah. I had a cleaning at the end of the year here where I went through and was like, am I using this thing? Yeah, it's expensive and extensive.
It is. And when you
Yeah.
realize you're like, oh, I've been paying that for how long now? And I haven't used it, right? Especially
Yeah.
with small businesses or the budget's tight, or a nonprofit that's, struggling to get all the donations they need. When you're wasting money, ooh, that's just painful, right? I was like, ouch.
Mhm.
So finding exactly what you need is important. So what does that mean? Well, that really depends on the business, right? Not everybody has the same needs. I had a nonprofit, they're exploring different software options. Well, what do you think about this? This one's going to cost $16,000. I said, excuse me? You just spent
Whoa.
$16,000 on a nonprofit, right? For software. Is it lined in gold? What is this, right? I mean,
Mm.
unless you've got a huge budget and you're one of those really large, unless you're the United Way or something with a really large income coming in, right? You want to be careful on where you're putting your funds. And I
Mhm.
think that's one of the reasons I enjoy this space. I didn't start out going, hey, AI. I was actually nervous, like most people, right? When I first heard it, I'm like, what does it do? This is kind of eerie and kind of creepy. Is it like stalking me? Is it what? And yes, it does. I mean, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
it does, right? When you start talking
Yep.
about something else and you pick up your phone and it starts showing you ads for that, and like, I didn't even search for that. It heard me. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, you
creepy,
could be
right?
having a conversation with somebody, and next thing you know, and you mention a site, or you mention something, and next thing you know, you're seeing ads for that thing. It is, yeah, they are following you.
It is really creepy, right? So learning to use AI in a way that benefits you without feeling like the creepy factor. So the first thing I did was kind of dive in and want to learn more. And I never expected to get to the point now where we've got an AI Innovation Allies group that we do weekly. I'm training people on different types of AI and having different speakers come in, right? I'm working with the VP of strategic partnerships with the AI software group. I mean, so now I'm doing all this stuff, right? I'm one of the users for one of the beta users with every time they come up with something new with Magi. So some of my favorite tools, right? I mean, there's so many places to dive into. For me, and I know y'all mentioned marketing being one of your spaces, right? So if you have a marketing agency or maybe you have a business and you're wanting to kind of compartmentalize information, my favorite really is Magi because you can have workspaces, right? And that's the funny thing is when you hear about like, oh, ChatGPT now has, I'm like, right, Magi's had that, right? I'm going to say Magi has beat ChatGPT on at least two different occasions about, for example, personas, right? The cool thing is when you use Magi, you can take that persona and run it through multiple element. And it's like you can take it with you in the same conversation rather than copying it, pasting it, moving it to a different thing. No, right? So that's one of my favorites. And it works great for organizations, right? Multiple people, because you can actually make it so that they can, when somebody leaves, you can actually assign that to a new person coming in or to someone else. This way you don't lose everything that they've done with it, right? And the solopreneur side, like for me as an agency, I have different sections, different workspaces for each of my clients. And then I have an agency level, right? So I've got multiple accounts so I can actually give them and we can share stuff and have the same access, right? So there's a lot of fun little ways to make it work, whether you're on the smaller side or the bigger side, right? But when it comes to, for example, visibility, right, being a huge part of it, I really like the new one with Momentum Tech. It's set up for visibility. It helps you design your course. It helps you create a book. It helps you build that authority, right? In addition to the videos, the images. And until you've had a video where the talking raccoon is singing your praises, are you really living?
Man, if I
I
had a
mean,
nickel for
really.
every time I said that.
See, I'm saying, there's just certain things that are cute. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm scrolling through. My goal currently is to get my AI feed or my feed on my social media to be all like reels of puppies. That's my current goal. So talking raccoons, talking puppies, you've got my attention, right? So that's the fun thing, right? AI can be fun and bring that into it. So depending on what your goals are, right? If you're looking for something that's more overall for your business, or if you're looking for something that has a very specific purpose, right? It's going to determine on which tools you're going to use. And I know for me, like I said, Magi is great for an overall business, but if there's something really specific, or maybe you're not as comfortable with it, like, what do you mean I have to write my own prompts? If that makes you nervous, right, and you're not sure, sometimes it's easier to go with something that's kind of a little bit more guided, right? And that's where like Momentum Tech comes in because it's got the system like answer this question and then answer this question, right? And then you can get and write your book. I mean, how cool is that?
So do you find that the clients that are coming to you or the people that you have spoken with do you see any kind of patterns when it comes to their adoption of AI, especially, especially when it goes wrong?
We do an episode every once in a while with AI Innovation Allies where we talk about epic AI fails.
Okay.
Oh, I love
That's right.
that.
And it's always interesting to tell everybody, bring your bad AI with you, right? Because you just never know what you're going to end up with. And there's times that we've got somebody, they're supposed to have people walking down the hallway and they're doing the moonwalk backwards or something, right? And you're like, oh, or they point to something on the wall, but their hand goes through the wall, right? Things like that. I tell it, hey, create it so that you know, the artist is handing a painting to the buyer, right? No, they've got it backwards, right? Now the buyer is handing the painting back to the artist. Nope, don't like this. Here you go, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember telling Superwoman that I needed her to jump off the building and fly away. Instead, I got her shaking her head no and backing up. Like, woman, you're supposed to be able to fly. Why are you telling me no, you're not going to jump off that building and
Wow.
fly, right? So epic fails are just plan that as part of your strategy. You know, if
Mm,
humor is part of your brand, then take advantage of it. Right. We've done all sorts of
yeah.
fun stuff with that. So I find the trends with the solopreneurs, right? They're looking for that all-in-one fit, or they're looking for something that is very specific on what they're going to do. So whatever their marketing strategy is, whatever their lead generation strategy, if they're trying to, like I said, use that book as the way to open doors. Right. So the
Mhm.
visibility side on them using a book. Well, yeah, they're going to love that momentum tech, being able to write a book and then have there's a critiquer in there that'll go back and read your book for you and tell you what you should look at. And maybe you want to make adjustments here or there, or maybe you're trying to do a course, right? A lot of solopreneurs in that space love it. My other solopreneurs like to be able to upload their own image and have them do something. Right. So I've got for example, an acupuncturist. And so he wanted to do something for the holiday. So I believe he was doing a acupuncture on Santa Claus.
Mm.
Another one was the turkey was getting acupuncture. So you just never know, but you can literally,
It's
but
fun.
he's in the picture, right? So you see him
Mhm.
doing whatever it is, right? Because you can upload your own picture, which has really come far compared to where they used to be, right? And I remember him going, my hair really look like that. Is it thinning like that?
Yeah.
Can you tell it to give me more hair?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can have fun with
Wishful
that. So I see
thinking.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot with the
Uh,
solopreneurs. And then as you're
Yeah.
seeing, like I said, the opportunity to grow your business. So as I'm seeing them trying to grow their business, right, figuring out what works and having something that's secure, making sure, and that's what one of the reasons why I like Magi is it's secure. And even with Momentum Tech, it is also, but you don't have to worry about I'm sharing my state secrets and they're going to use it for training purposes and who knows where it's going to end up, or you don't have to worry about that when you know what you're using, when you know it's been built in that way.
Do you find that relationships and maybe even strategy can get lost in the muddle when it comes to figuring out which way they want to go with AI? We got to get this going, right? Like, is that something that you've come
I think
across?
it's hard, right? I think a lot of
Yeah.
companies still haven't decided on their policy for AIs, right?
Mm.
And the larger your company, the more people it impacts, right? So you really need to have that strategy in place. So when you start, if you ever plan on growing your business, you need to start thinking from the very beginning, how do I want to use this? How is this okay? What are the rules for this? What programs are we willing to use? Are we not willing to use? Which ones have been approved, right? Is there any kind of cybersecurity issues you're worried about? Are we sharing state secrets with this, right? I mean, what is it that you're putting into it? And
Mm.
there's a temptation to just, well, I can just use anything, right? Right.
Mm.
And so you may not have
Right
looked
out
to
of the
see whether or
box.
not the
Yeah.
back settings on things are set to
Yeah.
private.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
exactly.
there are definite concerns, right? And then you have the whole liability side of it. I mean, there's just so much that comes into it. So you can't just jump into it and be like, no problem. Right. You got to have some
We
plan in place.
we were just reading the details, or someone was reading the details to is it base 44 to
Or
build use
lovable.
AI, or
Yeah.
lovable to build using
Yeah.
AI to build an app, and how at a certain price point it's using the information that you enter into it to train its own models and that kind of stuff, where you
Right.
know similar to ChatGPT, right? If you don't have the right settings shut off, then you're you know anybody and everybody can have access to it in theory.
Yeah.
So
Another thing I was concerned about too was ownership. In their FAQ, they're saying, "Oh, you own it," but if you're not on one of their higher price levels, you may own the
yeah,
application,
you're
but it's
sharing it.
but you are still sharing it to their
Yeah,
model to
yeah,
train and all of
yeah.
that. So, you know, um, it's so funny because I see all these lovable ads, and it's, oh, is this your dream? Do you want to build this and you can be a millionaire and all that wonderful stuff? But how feasible is that if you're sharing all of that, your ideas with the model to then go and train itself and help other people with your
Yeah.
same ideas, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, there
Yeah, I
is a
was
lot
just
of that.
thinking
Like,
about there's been issues, right, with people have used the and not read the fine print, and a lot of those where they're
Hmm.
building your app for you, there's a usage, right? And so when people use it, it's costing them money, right? And so you can, a lot of times the apps you might turn on, turn off, right? But if you put it out there and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where did this bill come from? Well, it's because everybody accessed that free app you had, right?
Hmm.
right.
Oops.
And not
And it can get
everybody who
really expensive.
accesses it is gonna buy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you really have to read the fine print, right? For privacy policies, is it using for training? Is there an extra cost for every time somebody uses this? There's a lot of fine print. So if you're going to play
Hmm.
in that space of AI and using AI for creating apps, and especially then, right? You want to be, and the other thing is you got to remember, it's not perfect. Right. So there might be a mistake in there somewhere, right? And so it might
Who's
be
going to
sharing
support that?
information you didn't want.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and who's going to be supporting that, and how are you going to fix it? And there's a whole nother dimension.
Right. I could
Yeah.
see this being the next specialty, right? It's going to be people that can come in and that are really good with coding and they can come in and fix the broken apps that you supposedly just spent just a little bit of
Oh
money
yeah,
on that now
they'll
cost you a
be
ton of money because somebody got to bring a specialist in. I don't know about you,
yeah.
but troubleshooting, oh,
It's a
it's
Oh
pain in
yeah.
the
faster for
neck.
me to do it myself than to troubleshoot, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
Yeah.
absolutely.
huge thing.
The internet is going to be littered with broken apps. I think that's.
Goodness. I actually saw a video on YouTube where this young lady was talking about how she used one of these no code AI systems to build out an app, and then realized that it seems like the mistakes were built into it on purpose, maybe for the specific purpose of getting her to upgrade her plan, or buy upgraded systems or upgraded services, that kind of thing.
Don't know if they do it on purpose, but what I'm going to say is it's not as advanced as you might think it is.
As we
Yeah.
It's
think.
not
Yeah.
perfect, right? It's not that it's kind of like we head it in the right direction, but there's something on it that's going to be quirky that needs to be
Mhm.
hand fixed. And so we can't rely on that. So I don't think it's intentional. I think we just give it more credit than it's due because we're
Yeah.
expecting fantastic results. And I've been involved in some of the training of the models, and they're not perfect. They're just not. I've seen the dark
Yeah.
side of the AI, right? And so
Yeah.
you're like, what did you just do? No, no, that's not what I told you to do. What, the
Yeah.
conclusions it'll jump to. I mean, it's amazing to be on the back end on training on AI, and you're like, yeah, no,
Mhm.
it's not where it needs to be yet.
I
So
yeah.
use it to help. I love it for brainstorming, right? But don't expect it to be perfect because it won't be.
Yeah.
One
I think that's the thing
I
people forget, that they expect the AI to be smarter than them.
uh
But it's like,
my
if you have a specialty, you're smarter than the AI, actually. Yeah.
I know somebody I had I can't say what company, but they are using AI for error checking for code. So it's like a team of coders, expert coders. They're using the AI to run simulations and do error checking and that kind of thing, but they won't allow it to do production coding. So that's,
Makes
And that's
sense.
the hard
different
part.
thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot
That's
of
awesome.
times you have the leaders that come in and they're like, hey, we should use AI. And then the
Yeah,
coders are like, no, no, we really shouldn't because it's going to take us more time to debug
they know
everything and
better.
all the bad stuff
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
Well, can't you
Oh,
just
wow.
use this? It'll only take you this amount of time. They're like, no, this amount of time. Right?
hmm
They always assume that it's going to be a lot faster. And some things
right,
it is, and
exactly.
other things you have to double check everything so thoroughly that it ends up not really saving you very much time, right? So it's
Yeah,
how you use it.
yeah, yeah.
Huge.
And
My
the
son's
more
a coder, so
complex,
I
yeah,
feel it.
Yeah.
Which
Anyway,
maybe kind
we
of,
could probably have a whole thing on this, but
yeah,
Right?
kind of makes me fear those companies there are companies out there that have put a freeze on hiring, um, to make sure that to see if they can get those jobs done, faster and better and cheaper with AI. But now you're putting in place a system that needs human oversight. It really does. But
Mhm.
without the hiring, you don't have the human oversight.
hmm
Absolutely. And I think that's, you got to remember, it's kind of like the phase we're pushing everything overseas, or, oh, we can just have somebody in Fiverr do it. So you need to
Mm.
hmm
take a look and see, right? If you're talking to somebody that understands the overall strategy, or can they just create one little thing, right? Here's your PDF. Thank you for designing a PDF for me. Okay, but
Uh,
how are you going to use it? Do you have the
yeah.
whole funnel to set up? Are you have something going beyond that, right? How does it fit into the bigger picture? And that's where you need the marketing experts and the strategy to go along with it. It's more than just, I've created this cool shiny object, right? Now what do you
hmm
do with it? So we
What's
Right.
need the expertise still in the room.
there's that cartoon of like bunch of different people working on different parts of this thing, and one group thinks they're creating a snake. The other group thinks they're creating this other thing, but you look back and it's actually just a big elephant, you know.
Because most people
But
don't know the
nobody
big
can
picture.
see the whole thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, so
working in silos.
yeah. All right. So viability, one things we talk about, right? Focus and keeping things aligned. And your AI, if you're going to use it in the business, should support your existing priorities and not necessarily redefine them. So
Mhm.
don't let the cart guide the horse, I guess, in other words.
Absolutely. It's
Um,
a big part of it. And I know for those, if you're concerned with your brand, right? Magi is
yeah.
great where you can create your, brand inside there. It goes and asks you all the questions, right? And make sure that's right. And I'll create those for my clients. This way they have that to go to. And I know it's been created properly. But once again, always double check, right? Is it correct?
hmm
And when it gets too complicated, AI can get overwhelmed. Right. There's
Yeah.
times it spit out stuff. I'm like, no, no, how did you hallucinate that? Right. I mean, and it does, it'll hallucinate. It'll tell you all sorts of crazy stuff.
hmm
Yeah, yeah.
It used to be a lot worse than it is now, but
It's gotten better,
it's
but still.
it's like lulling you. It's like a sense of complacency, but like don't trust it. Yeah, okay, it's not quite there yet. But anyway, so all right, let's get into how we choose and what the phrase "the right AI tools" actually means. All right. Christine, how are you helping clients to identify which tools are actually worth using? I know we've kind of talked about a few things that you are recommending,
Mhm.
but clients come to you, they have a problem, a particular problem, or they want to accomplish something, or maybe walk us through that. What are they? How does that
Yeah, a lot of
conversation
times
begin?
it's marketing, right? It's business strategy. It's right. You're always starting off with that assessment to start with. So seeing where they're at, where are they getting stuck? What are they trying to, where are the bottlenecks in their business, right? How can AI help with that? What kind of integrations do we need to do in order to make this talk to that, right? What kind of
hmm
automations have we put in place? And it's amazing. I mean, how far we've come with all of those steps, right? So part of it is just seeing where's all your time going? What are your repetitive tasks that you're doing over and over again that could benefit from some automation or having some AI in place? So really it's that first assessment. And that might be for a larger company, it could be the different departments are using it differently, right? So until you really come in and talk to the people and what they're doing and helping them identify where the bottlenecks are, where the repetition is, it's you can't really do a blanket statement, right? You need to come in and find out what works for them. Because like you said, the solopreneurs, the nonprofits, that they have different goals, right? So you really want to
Yeah.
make sure. I mean, if you're trying to bring money in, right, you're probably doing a lot with storytelling. You're trying to write the nonprofits, you want the stories, you want the video, you want the, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with it, but you want to, that's what your focus is because you're trying to tug on the heartstring and get that money in, right? I know I work with the Veterans Ranch. And so I was talking about, don't just ask for money, right? Tell a story. invite them in. This is how the equine therapy is helping veterans, right? So you go into the details on that. That helps draw people in. So how he uses it is going to be so much different than somebody who's more concerned with data and analytics and all that, right? So one of my gals, Basra, is great with analytics. And so she uses AI to do some amazing things with the analytic sides. It's like, I don't even know what you just did, but that was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you helping guide the company owners, the business owners through the things that they should think about before they start adopting AI?
Yeah, some of them are already dabbling. Some of them have been a little nervous about dabbling, right? There's where you are on the adoption scale that nope, ain't touching it, right? And I've had clients that started out by going, no, I don't want to touch that. I want to be authentic. And then teaching them how to use it to be authentic also, right? So bringing that into it. So, and that's where building out those brand voices, right, can really help them stay in tune with who they are. It's not, like you said, the replacement factor. So you can still use AI and be authentic. So, but they had to get past that before they were willing to get into it. Now they're using it to write blogs, right? Using it for writing video scripts. I mean, it's amazing to see the shift over time. Once you get past the initial resistance of it, you can see ways to make it work for you. With the larger businesses, it's a little bit different on how they're using. A lot of times it's more of a department rather than an overall. So each department's using.
Do you have lowest hanging fruit when it comes to solopreneurs and nonprofits specifically? What's the biggest wins you see there?
The biggest wins, I know for a lot of businesses, it seems to be that they really like it for the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
Just because marketing is so overwhelming now with digital marketing. It used to be back in old school, right? Put a billboard up, put an ad out, and here's a business card, right? Now we do so much with digital marketing that they're not sure where to start. But, AI is also garbage in, garbage out, right? So you can tell it to make you something, but if you don't know what it's supposed to make, what it's supposed to look like, if you're not on target with that messaging, like you mentioned earlier, it's going to be a hot mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're rolling into 2026 like a dumpster fire, right? I mean, you gotta, you really gotta know who you are, what your business is, what your message is, who your ideal client is. Until you've done all that background on it, you're just randomly throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks.
So as far as visibility goes, the idea here is that your visibility improves when and if your AI is supporting communication, and hopefully it's making you more consistent at it, right? Especially when it comes to social media, marketing, that kind of stuff. Your viability can improve in that case when you aren't so concerned with, when you're implementing AI automation, taking that load off, right? But doing so, with a strategy in mind and having a reason why you're doing this, and making sure that you're not, like you said, inputting garbage, and expecting to get gold. So, all right. Let's keep going here. How about let's get into something that you're also involved with, Christine, which is networking, strategic partnerships. How can AI strengthen networking instead of making it feel more transactional?
Oh, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite topics also. Yeah, I use it a lot within the marketing, within the business strategy. But for networking, one of my favorite tools is my most trusted. And it's a Chrome extension that follows you around in LinkedIn. And it saves so much time. When I want to connect people, and this is what I do on a consistent basis, I always say it doesn't matter what I do with your business, all of it will always include relationship development and me getting you in touch, putting the right people in the right room, right? So for me to have a tool that makes it so I can make introductions in under 2 minutes, game changer, right? Saves me
Mhm.
time where I'm not spending all my time writing out really long messages on why these two people should meet, because the AI looks at their LinkedIn profile, does a little summary, brings it together, and I can send that off in under 2 minutes. I love it. That's my favorite tool on the planet when it comes to connections, which then frees up my time to do the real stuff, right? Where I'm actually talking with people and finding out more about what they
Mhm.
want. But even if you didn't have that tool, the idea is you can put two people's profiles together and say, hey, what do these two have in common? You can ask the AI to do that, right? Or you can say, I have an upcoming
Mhm.
meeting with this person. And you've already got your persona built in, right? And you drop the link to the other person's LinkedIn profile. What
Mhm.
kind of conversations should we be having? It'll give you
Yeah.
suggestions, right? So rather than
Mhm.
fishing around and kind of having a really generic exploration process so that eventually maybe you find some commonality, right? It narrows it in for you and you know exactly where to dial in that conversation. So it makes your time when you're actually meeting with the person much more efficient.
Nice. I I have been recently experimenting with AI agents, and
Mhm.
Zapier, however you want to say it. Anyway,
Tomato, tomato,
ha
yes.
yeah, they have a built-in agent that will go out and do research on people who are showing up in your calendar as meetings prior to meeting with them. So every day at 9 a.m., I get a list. I have it set up so it sends me a message through my Google Chat that lays out, who I'm meeting with, and then gives me details on whatever it could find about this individual, their business, their various links, their website link, their social media, especially like LinkedIn. And I can actually take that then, like you said, feed it into uh, a um, a meeting preparation, conversation in an AI, and say, hey, here's information about this individual. How can I move this relationship forward with this person? And it also works on the backside then too, when I can come back and feed the transcript into the same conversation and say, this is what we talked about, give me some feedback on, how I did, and then how I can move it forward from here. So it's in my I can't say
Yeah.
enough how much time this has saved, and
Right, let alone the meeting notes, and they'll give you a
yeah,
recap. I give
yeah,
me a list of action items between now and the next meeting. I mean, can you please
yeah,
create the agenda for the next meeting? Yeah,
yeah,
it's amazing what it's
so
done for
valuable.
meetings.
Amazing.
Extremely so. And then you can take it from several conversations. Okay, if we put this all together, what kind of themes are we seeing, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, I've encouraged people that, a lot of times for coaches, they need a signature, right? Coaching process. So I say, okay,
Hmm.
well, upload a few of your coaching sessions and ask it to discover the themes that
Yeah,
you aren't even aware of exist and have it create you a custom program from there. It's like, I can do that. I'm like, oh,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
a great
there's some
idea.
really fun ways to use AI.
Hmm. Um, what, well, I guess we kind of touched on the next thing about preparation and how preparing for a relationship or preparing before you meet with someone, how that, plays into building a meaningful partnership or relationship in that case. Is that something that you're pretty big in
It's
recommending?
real relationships. A lot of times you have networking. If you just do a one and done and you never
Yeah.
talk to that person again, was it worth the effort to do it originally? Right. And you
Hmm.
just wasted an hour of your life or a half hour of life. Right.
Hmm.
So if you at the end of the meeting, if you're like, this was hot. I think we have a lot of synergy. I want to continue this. Can you get on my calendar so we can do this again next month or next week or whatever? Get those people that you have that good synergy with and keep it going, right? Do it right then and have your action steps for your next meeting before you even leave. Right. And then you've got your notes. And if you save those into your CRM because you're being organized, right, or it's saved into
Yeah.
your note taker, you can go back and review. Here's a quick summary of what we talked about last time. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Right. Or add
Hmm.
those action items to my calendar. Right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much fun to be had.
Do, do you have any good examples of where AI has actually helped free up some time for that higher value relationship work?
That's definitely the my most trusted, right?
Okay.
If I had to write out tons of details on each person every time I did a connection,
Yeah.
I probably give 300 connections a year, 300 to 500. And so if I had to do that by hand every single time, there was nothing else I'd be able to do. That would be all I
Mm.
did all day, right? So
Yeah.
that's not going to work. So this just makes life so much easier. And when you
Mm.
can do connections for people, it lets them know that they're top of mind, you're thinking about them. That helps develop
Mm-hmm.
those relationships further.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, tying it into the V3 system here, visibility, you're building relationships there because, you're driving trust, building a network of referrals in that case, helps you to be seen by the people that you want to be seen by, because hopefully the people that are sending you referrals are the people that enjoy working with, Um, and then, of course, using AI in that case supports the scale, right? You can actually grow this, save time, so you can make those 300 to 500 connections a year, and
Yeah, and
still,
I'm going to jump on what you said, Nate, because you mentioned
yeah,
visibility. Okay. And
yeah,
not
yeah,
only
yeah.
will my most trusted like connect and build, but it'll write an email connecting all
Mm,
three people, right? You with them. And then it'll also do a post for on LinkedIn. And then
mm,
it'll also do a three-way within LinkedIn itself messages. Talk about
mm,
visibility. And it
yeah.
tags each person. So that puts you in front of each other's audience, my audience, right? I mean, whoever's doing the
Mm-hmm,
post, right? I mean, talk about visibility right there.
mm-hmm,
Just add an
mm-hmm.
image. Make sure you upload some kind of image to go with it because, we have the attention of goldfish. So if you don't have something catchy to catch our eye, people will scroll right past it. But the
Uh-huh.
tagging process, right? Visibility right there. Boom.
Yep, yep. Awesome. And you can do it at scale because AI is helping you. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about where leaders, people who are business owners, maybe the C class, where they can get started here with all of this. What is a good first low risk AI use that you would recommend?
Low risk. Start dabbling. I would say if you don't really know what you want to do, there's a fine line between diving in and drowning because you don't know what you're doing and you're overwhelmed, even in the
Yeah.
AI space, right? Because if you're like prompt writing, if that sounds intimidating for you, you might want to start with something even simpler that you don't have to worry about writing prompts for, right? Momentum text guide, like Ask Ziegler, right? Things like that, where you can go in and just ask questions of the experts, where they've created these personas of the experts, right? So you can
Hmm.
just get advice like that. But brainstorming is a nice, gentle way to ease into, right? So
Hmm.
I'm going to go to this event and I want to give away something at the booth. What are some ideas? This is my business, right? And start brainstorming on some ideas, right? It gives you some place to start, right? And then you might want to talk to your marketing professional and see if they agree.
Hmm.
Because it might come up with something where you're like, no, no. I know my honey had, I think, like beer koozies one year. And I'm like, because when I'm drinking beer, I think about CPAs. I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
seriously, babe? And he's like, it was available. I'm like, okay. I mean, just things like that, right? So you want to make sure it makes sense for your business. So for some people, it makes sense. You're selling rifles, I guess you're okay, right? But I mean, I'm just saying there's certain things, I
Or you're
don't know.
selling beer.
Right? But I was just like, I don't think I would ever put the networking diva on a beer koozie. I just don't think that's part of my brand. But okay, we'll roll with it. And I laugh
Yeah.
because he hardly drinks at all. So I'm like, of all choices. But right, you need to have those experts come in and give you a hand with things sometimes. You might think something's a good idea, but you need to test it. Okay. You need to talk to other people. You need to talk to an expert that knows. So bounce some ideas before you dive in too deep. Like, well, this is what the AI said. Let me run with it. Well, the AI
Yeah.
probably doesn't know you as well as you'd like it to know you.
Yeah.
So be
Yeah.
careful what you run with your AIs.
I could see actually CPA on your beer koozie because, keep you from making bad financial decisions, because like
Because you never know. Amazon's too close and you're drinking too much beer. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, just that
Wait,
moment of
hold my beer,
hesitation.
Texas motto.
Yes, that's perfect. All right. So, how, business owners, how can they measure whether their AI is actually helping them?
Well, that's going to be back to your data analytics again, right? So if you're not watching your numbers, you don't know what's going on in your business anyway, right?
Mhm.
So if you're trying something new, it takes a little while to see how those numbers come out, right? You can't expect instant results, but if you don't like the numbers and what you're getting, then probably need to make some changes. You know? But you should be looking at all your numbers for everything, right? It's got to be tied into some kind of dashboard. You got to know what's going on. Without it, you're just, flying in the dark and like, oops, ran into a building. I mean, so you gotta pay attention to that. And there's some really cool toys, right? With the persona, when you take in, like with Magi, Dustin Stout, he's awesome. And so the owner of Magi, and I usually meet with him. I'm gonna say he usually comes to my networking meeting once a week, maybe 3 times a month, but he'll drop some downloads of like amazingness that you're just like, oh, what? Right. So he's got his, viral, persona makers, right? So if you want viral social media posts, there's steps where you can go and do the deep research here and identify the rhythms. Now it's got the rhythms, you drop it into the persona, and then you've got your brand in the background dictating which ones are good choices. And so it can do some cool stuff, but you have to remember it's just giving you like examples.
Mhm.
It's making up stories. It's giving you, so you have to come up with your own success stories that you can plug into these viral formulas. You can't just
Mhm.
use it the way that it is because you'd be lying. Nothing in there. It
Yeah.
doesn't know your success
Yeah.
all your clients, right? So you have to say,
Yeah.
okay, it wants an example like this. All right, where did I have something like that happen in my business? Okay, let me plug that in. Right.
Mhm.
But you can't
I've
just
done
run
that
it the
with
way it
like
is.
with my AI, like I tell it, I wrote like a document with some case studies from my own clients and stories that just stories of my life and stories of my journey in business and that kind of thing. And I'll tell it to, okay, go into this source, especially with Notebook LM before I found Magi. Notebook LM, okay, go into my stories and pull out a case study or a testimonial that illustrates this particular point, and it'll pull
Mhm.
out true stories. So that way I'm not lying to everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the viral formula does these different steps, and you got to make sure that what you're inserting in those steps are exactly the truth. You said the
Yeah.
testimonials, the case study. So if you don't have that stuff gathered already, you need to gather it. Right. And a lot of
Yeah.
times we don't have the tools. We might have the fancy tool, but if we haven't done our research and all our background stuff to support those tools, the tool by itself doesn't do you any good.
That seems like a relatively low risk thing that you can do with AI is help it to assemble your case studies and pertinent information like that. Make maybe put it in a usable format, turn it
Yeah,
into
format,
stories, etc.
templates, right?
Yeah.
Creating templates, synthesizing information. Like I said, you always have to double check.
Yeah. Like
So
what if you
one
fed
of
it like your client list and say, okay, like ask me for a story about each of these clients or something.
nice.
And then
Yeah,
put
I
it
like
all
that.
together and yeah, put it all together, collate it and
Yeah,
store
they've
it
yeah,
for
and they've
future
really come
use.
Good
far.
stuff.
The MCP functions in Magi right now where it can go here and snag this and snag that and all the
Mhm.
agent stuff. Right now, things are starting to get really fun. Now, I do have to say, when you start playing with the agents,
I'm
there
glad you
is
said that
room
because I
for
was wondering
error.
about that, Magi. Yeah.
So I had asked it to go ahead and compose a letter, right, an email to someone. And I decided to stay within our giver marketing network where I'm team director. I'm like, I'm going to use it to compose a mail to someone else. We did this during the networking meeting, like our And I was like, let's play with it. Let's see what it does. So it wrote it and then it sent it. I'm like, whoa. No, you weren't supposed to send that. You were supposed to ask permission before you sent it. What do you mean you sent that already? Okay, but that was wrong. The information was wrong. Where did you even get this from? You hallucinated, right? And so I'm telling it's like, oh, okay, here, let me fix it and send a new one. And I'm like, so now you just sent 2 emails that wrong. I'm like so glad that I've been practicing with somebody that I know, another marketer, right, where we're playing with this. But I was like, and I'm like, okay, do not send any more emails. Do not ever send an email without my permission, right? You have to give it rules because goodness knows that's why you want to practice and play with it with something that you trust or your extra email address that you have, you know, your Gmail or whatever it is, right? Because you just don't know what you're going to get. So always practice first.
Yeah. Good
It was
rule
so
of
bad.
thumb. And
Nice.
and in your prompt, like you know, you tell it, okay, grab this information. I'm going to send this email, but don't send the email. Let me approve it first, and then I'll let you know. I'll tell you what the changes that you need to make, and then you can send it, you know? So
Yeah,
yeah,
the whole
do
idea
it,
that
break
it's,
it down
I'm
into
perfect.
steps.
I created it for you. I will send it for you. I will save you. You're like, no, stop.
I'm
Don't
gonna
be so
manage your
helpful.
business. You can sit back and relax. I'll handle it all.
You're like, oh,
It
no,
knew
please
you
don't.
wanted to
Right.
do that
So,
anyway, right?
Right.
as we said, that human element is
Yeah.
absolutely essential. So it'll make things
Absolutely
easier,
necessary.
but sometimes it's so frustrating to get it. I've seen in the training where they're, you know, well, create this and then change this, you know. I was trying to get it like the one that wanted more hair, right? I'm like telling it, add more hair. I'm like, whoa, too much hair. Okay, well, you know, I mean, you have to keep giving it directions. There's times you give it directions and it gives you the same picture and it didn't do anything. Didn't change
Yeah.
anything, right? And you're like,
Yeah. Had
Mhm.
that lot.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I have
it's
that
a,
too.
you just got to know, right? There's a learning curve to it, and you have to have the patience. It's like talking to a 2-year-old. So just
Yeah.
expect that. Sometimes they cooperate, and sometimes they, you know, throw something at you and run away screaming. So you just don't know what you're going to get when you talk to a 2-year-old. Same thing with AI.
Nice. So if you are
So true.
thoughtful about your AI use, then it could actually, make your business resilient. Of course, again, the opposite is also true. But so that's contributing to the viability of the business, right? And of course, if you're a resilient business is by nature a more valuable business, and so if you're less if the business is less dependent on you, and you can kind of offload that, and it's something that's transferable, then that is just a more valuable long-term
Bingo.
value, right, in the business. So
Bingo.
yeah.
SOPs. If you don't
SOPs.
have
Yeah. Oh,
them, you
yes.
can't expand because you can't get someone else to do something for you,
Yeah.
right? You got to get out of your head. Solopreneurs, here you go.
Yeah.
Pull it out of your head, get it in writing so you can expand and grow and delegate things, right? You can't do that till you get out of your head. Use it for that. That's a
Yeah.
great
Great.
use.
Low risk relatively. You can just
Mhm.
you're not sending emails, right? So, but yeah. Okay. Awesome. Good deal. So we are at the end here. We have like, a couple more minutes here left. Run through a little recap quickly, I guess. AI is a multiplier, it's a point of leverage, not necessarily the be all end all solution, Like once again, we harped on this last time. You got to have a human in there, to make the
Yeah.
pull the levers, make the see the big picture, keep things on track, stay the course. Um, Having a strategy, building relationships, that comes first. If AI is helping you, great. If not, you need to fix something, right? And if you have the right tools and you're using them correctly, then that's going to help you to create focus and build capacity in your business. But there's always a dangling butt in that case. So it's
I
you
think
gotta watch yourself.
yeah, we have to probably, adopt the mindset that, business principles still apply even in this age of AI. we're using the AI as a tool, and like you said, a force multiplier, make us more efficient, help us to be faster, and take us out of the mundane, repetitive things that need to be done. But business rules still apply. We still need to have that strategy and know where we're going with our goals and everything, and put in place and use the AI to put in place those things and to help us to execute our strategy, rather than just, oh, this is a great new toy, let me play with it, and it's not necessarily helping us to go where we want to go.
It can take you down some dark paths if you're not careful with this,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or it'll send really strange emails, one or the other.
Yeah, yeah, or all the above. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Great. So for our calls to action here, if you would like to learn more about Christine and her work, you can reach her at networkingdiva.com, networking ing, thenetworkingdiva.com. You can also highly recommend that you subscribe to our podcast. What is the name of your podcast, Christine?
The Networking Diva. Come on now.
Oh, okay. Easy,
Of
easy to
course.
remember.
What
You can
else?
easily find me at the Networking
That's
Diva.
the
Yeah.
networkingdiva.com. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
And if, yeah, like I said, if you want to, get more conversations like this, subscribe to our channel here. And for the last little bit here, I guess I'll let Simone take it over. Like, I'm really bad at these outros. Yeah.
If you want to know more about, well, if you want to know more about Christine, contact her, follow her well, go to her website and she can lead you from there. But
Yeah.
Subscribe to her podcast at The Networking Diva. Visit her at thenetworkingdiva.com. And if you want to let us know about if you learned something in this episode, and comment and tell us what your biggest takeaway was. What was that big aha moment about AI? Because I know that there were several. And if you are a business that has hit a growth ceiling and you're confused about AI or any other type of strategy or anything that you want to put into your business, we have the growth ceiling assessment available. Click the link in the description and it will take you right to it, and you will get some insights about what you should do next. What's your next best step? All right, so thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Christine.